Hey everybody, it's John, retired old man. Hope it's a good day where you are. Well, today here in Texas, it's a day of remembrance in our part of the country, in the northeast side of Texas. There's a town called New London, and there's a long story. I encourage you to go online and just look at the history of New London, Texas, and the greatest tragedy that ever happened in a school in the United States happened 87 years ago today. And what happened, there was a gas explosion at school, and it killed around 300 people. There really, according to many sources, there's no way to tell exactly how many people were killed because people came out of the oil fields. Oil was that was one of the biggest oil producing fields in the area around New London, Texas at the time. So a lot of the people came out. A lot of them were workers from outside the area. They came in, they picked up their kids. Some of them were dead. They took them back home. Record keeping was not that good, but the best they can figure out, there was around 300 people killed that afternoon. And New London, Texas was known as the richest school district in the world. In fact, you've heard the term Friday Night Lights, the TV show and everything. That actually was the term Friday Night Lights actually started in New London. It was the first it was the first school and first high school in the world, as far as I know, to have lights at Friday night. They had so much money coming in from the oil wells. There was no taxes in the area. The museum over there is phenomenal. It's a little out of the way if you're traveling through, but it's well worth a visit to see everything that was such extravagance in that school. And I don't mean extravagance in a bad way. I just mean that everything that was done to make sure that those kids had the best education possible. And money was not spared. And essentially what happened, they, at one time, if oil fields and if you had oil on your property, there was a thing, natural gas is a waste product of oil drilling. And what happened, the oil companies would let you pipe in and just give you natural gas to heat your home, heat your school, heat your business, or whatever. It wouldn't charge you anything. It wasn't filtered natural gas. It was odorless at the time. In fact, the odor that you hear, that you smell of natural gas today, is a direct result. I mean, just in a matter of days and a few weeks after that accident, the Texas legislature said that if you're going to sell natural gas or supply natural gas anywhere in the state of Texas, you had to put this odor in it. So the odor that you smell of natural gas today is a direct result of the school explosion that happened in New London, Texas. New London is about 20 miles away from where I live. It's tremendous history there, a very sad part. And a lot of children were killed that day. But anyway, what happened? The natural gas came through. It was odorless at the time. They had a school shop there, and they finally came to the conclusion that what happened, the shop teacher was working on a belt sander. It's an electric tool. And when he plugged the belt sander in, it sparked. The motor had a spark. At that time, natural gas was odorless. The school had a basement. Basements are not that common here in Texas. And since it was such a extravagant school, and again, I'm using that extravagant not in a selfish way. I'm just saying that the way the building was built spared no expense, and it even had the clay tile roof on it. Well, when this thing exploded in the basement, it literally lifted the school up, a solid rock, just a beautiful building, and literally blew it up and fell back down and actually crushed a big part of the people in there. It really was the worst school disaster in American history, as far as I know, in the world history. It happened right here 87 years ago in the upper east side of Texas. New London, Texas. You can look it up, and it's really an interesting and a sad day for the families. It took them almost 40 years to gather. It took the families 40 years to gather back at the town of New London, and each time now, each year on the date of the school explosion, family members would come to the town, or they will come to New London and have a little ceremony. I've had an opportunity here several years ago to actually meet a survivor of the school explosion. His sister was killed, and he actually was working at the museum at the time, and that was an interesting tour of the museum when you had the guide that was actually there as a student the day that the school exploded. That's all I got for today. Hey, y'all have a good day. This retired old man. Be careful. God bless.